Ah, what's up, Shane? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't. I don't hear anything. I see. I can see you, but I don't hear anything.
All right, King.
There it is. Yeah. Cool. How you doing, man?
All is well. What's up with you?
Chilling. You
Yeah.
you you wrapped up like it's 30 below. But I imagine. I mean, it's warm here. It's like 70 degrees here. What's it like in KC?
I mean, I'm in this building, man. I'm in an old building. And
Okay.
so I'm like, I'd rather just bundle up and trying to heat it sometimes.
Okay. Okay. I hear you. I hear you. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So how's everything going?
And all is well. All is
How's
well. What's up? What's up over there?
chilling. Just getting in the grind. I went to a conference a little while ago, and just getting back into the grind and the groove, and getting things done. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, that's just staying busy. How's the tour going?
It's going well, man. It's very abstract because you just got to kind of flex, when things shift. So it's been going well, though.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Have you heard anything about coming to Ohio?
Man, yeah. I mean, yes and no. It's sort of like, everybody starts the process of talking and then it gets quiet and then sometimes things pop up. So I don't know, man, what
Yeah,
else took place after that. But seemed like the contact you gave knows what's up, you know how to
yeah,
do it. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like I'll probably send out a reminder message at some point.
Okay,
So,
that's cool.
hmm
Because I know I think you said something like later in a few months from this point or something like that. So,
everybody starts shutting down for the holidays, man. So
yeah,
it's, yeah.
yeah. Cool, cool. All right. Well, um, I appreciate you connecting, and I'll give you a little bit of background about this project. So, I'm an interfaith worker, building peace and understanding and cooperation between people from different religious and ethnic communities. And so, I do mixed ethnicity advocacy as well. And I noticed that in the interfaith crowd, there's little talk about ethnicity, and particularly the mixing of ethnicities. There's always I'm this member of a community, or I'm that member of a community, but there's little talk about like the blurring of the lines between those, and what implications that has. And then in the mixed crowd, in the crowd talking about ethnicity, there's little talk about spirituality or even religion or something like that. It's kind of like the taboo subject and the elephant in the room. So um, my intent with this project is to kind of bridge those divides and generate a conversation, particularly for mixed people, but for all people in general, about the experience of being both mixed, and also spirituality, or lack of spirit, or absence, or refusal for spirituality, or however one pursues that experience. So that's the basic premise and purpose for this project. So I'm just interviewing a few friends, and I'm sharing this on a YouTube channel and on with different mixed groups on Facebook. And like I said, just trying to build a conversation. So does that sound cool?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I got 5 questions, and my experience is that my interview skills are very modest. So I tend to just stick with the script, and let the answers flow as it is. I may try to, like, if you say something, I might explore a little or ask you some follow up questions on that. But whenever you want to just continue on to the next one, you can just let me know and we can roll accordingly. Does that sound all right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So let's just get into it. So the first question is, what is the ethnic and spiritual background of your father, and what is the ethnic and spiritual background of your mother?
My father ethnic background would be what we call African American, and the mention of the Seminole Indian grandparent.
Right.
hmm And so the spiritual path of my father, from my understanding, is Pentecostal. Um, as in catching Holy Ghost and that,
Sure. Yeah.
speaking in tongues, and then there's probably some elements that are missing, but from his perspective, but those are the ones that he speaks on the most. Follows the Bible from a religious perspective.
Okay.
And then my mother, there's an Italian root there, so Sicilian, and then so there's a Catholic element there.
Sure.
And now through probably her own, particular search, she's probably found more of an inclusive, Christian faith. And then, I think that's it.
Okay. Cool. So one of the taboo questions that is out there is, given the differences or the different backgrounds of your parents, how do your parents meet, and how do your parents connect?
Well, I have to put it from this perspective. They divorced, so then you're talking about the law at that place. So
Okay.
Then from there, each person has to develop spiritually on their own. In that faith interaction, it's more like a testimony over time, I think. And so then their kind of overall, it's a deeper question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Well, because then at that point, you as a believer in anything have to pick up your own faith. And, people like to talk about it. I recognize it this way. People like to talk about blind faith. I have been hearing about that for a long time.
Okay.
And no one really talks about sighted faith and what that actually might mean.
Okay.
But then you also have a different layer of faith that relates to the doing part. And so I think it's every grown up, whatever that means. Literally this morning, the word heaven came up, and the word heaven as it relates to the idea of firmament.
Okay.
And I'm like, firmament, what is that? What is this word?
Sure.
Right. So we're a Google away from translation.
Yeah.
It just came to the word sky. And then I even had to relate or redefine that word as it relates to something.
Yeah.
So then, we always chase heaven around as if it's some imaginary place, but it's not. And so then from that perspective, I learned the most from children now, and I recognize my parents. We are to honor them for many reasons.
Sure.
In that honoring, we're also able to teach them. My father comes to me for a lot of insight now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom, she's always waiting for insight, but she's the more insightful one. So sometimes I just let her develop as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you learn more about who you are, there's one thing to read about it. That's fine. I think there's something to be said about that. But there's another thing too, and I'm just speaking from a vibrational perspective. It's another thing to pray about and ask questions.
Yeah.
And then these questions are revelations of sorts. Me as a musician, I tend to I have to open up a channel in order for it to come through. And these fingers, these are very unique, things. They're cold right now, but I know them pretty well. I'm able to use them to, project ideas through playing guitar, things like that.
Yeah.
So, you have to come into your own power, and it happens later for some. But you have to be thrown into some hard situations. And part of that is what we call, I think, growth.
Sure.
And so back to the parental experience. You know, their experience is their own and mine is my own, you know. And our hope as a family, I think I see it this way, is that we make a way for each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me personally, I guess I'm speaking from my heart on the matter.
Yeah.
I follow the idea of Jesus. Okay, so then that right there is not against Muhammad, for sure. It's not. You know, it's definitely not against Buddha. I can go down a list. I mean, I really can truly go down a list. And there is a particular danger in, like, when words are printed as if to say, you know, these are the things that are absolute. That is true on some levels. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this little pamphlet yesterday. It talked about burning all other, like, things other than, you know,
Wow.
this particular. Yeah, and I was like, I get that, but, you know, with 50 different versions of the particular book that you're saying is the best book, which version of the ones should I keep of the 50, you know?
I hear you. Yeah.
So, you know, it's become a very complex scenario, I think, overall, because no child has to break away from their parents' understanding of what used to be. That's not how it is. I have a decent understanding of the Catholic experience as well as the Pentecostal experience.
Sure.
But then there's a question, and then what? You know, so, you know, that's where it is right now.
Okay.
For me as a child, anyway.
All right, you're taking us through the firmament. You're taking us through the prayer. You're taking us through the scripture. So it's a very a substantial ride. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to go into the next question, and the next question is: as a child, when you're growing up, what do your parents teach you about life, about universe, about religion, or in general? What lessons do your parents share and impart upon you as a child?
That's a good question. I think for the most part, they teach us some boundary issues, you know, things of very basic stuff like don't jump over that thing right there or you will fall. Yeah. And I mean, I guess, I don't know, again, I'm getting into something like yesterday, you know, the internet is a very dynamic experience. They couldn't teach me stay away from certain websites because,
Yeah.
well, because this idea didn't even exist.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're talking that way. So I was watching this video yesterday and I had putting it out there. You know, I was watching this video and it talked about this man who jumped to what someone was describing to his death, but he was jumping from the towers, from 9/11 towers. And and there's a photograph, you know, and shows this man. And the whole, like, video was about searching for who this person was falling to the earth. And, you know, through the dynamic searches, you know, they kind of came to, you know, it still was an unknown. But the possibility that the man who was falling belonged to, and I say it like that, to this one particular family, and they had to stake claim to it. They said, well, yes, based on what we think, this is likely who he is. But then it went deeper than that. It was like, well, me coming to a rest place that day, we kind of know what happened. So, you know, when people were going into this thing of, like, flying, you know, this is what it is, this idea of making a choice, a decision. You know, go back to the idea of parents. Certainly those parents put in their heart, do not do this thing, you know. But given an experience unlike no other that anyone could ever teach you about, you know, if put in this particular scenario, this is what you should choose, you know. That those people have to make those decisions eventually on their own, you know. So I know better not to jump off of, you know, this is real. I was recently at the top of the Empire State Building, beyond where most people can go, you know, to the very top place. And there's not as much of the, like, guardrails and everything. And there's that feeling inside of us. I don't know, maybe others have it too. You get that high, you're like, you wonder, like, what it would be.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. You get that superhuman feeling.
That's something, exactly. And then, you know, so our parents teach us about gravity, and that's cool. You know, they teach us which things not to partake in, etc. But things shift over the years, you know, over time. I mean, I think just recently I got a Quran into my existence. I asked for one too,
Okay.
and I thought that was very important because I don't want to be pitted against anybody. You know, I don't
Sure.
want to take a side against somebody without an understanding or a true understanding. And it's not. I mean, you know, look, I should be able to read every language. You know, that should be the real thing. If I'm going to have any kind of debate, I should embrace the language in order to get there. So I mean, you know, I think my parents taught me language. They taught me like a lot of different things, which again is that's more from an earthly perspective. So, you know, I think they taught me at best how to search for self and understand.
Sure.
You know,
Well, I'm hearing a lot of stuff from you, and I appreciate it. I'm hearing you talk about parents imparting like some of the just the practical lessons about surviving in life. Don't do this, do that. This is what I've learned in life that's gotten me to this point, and this is what's going to help you get through these challenges. And I'm also hearing you talk about having like an intrinsic kind of second nature diplomacy where you have just a basic respect for others and appreciation for others and learning how to negotiate and navigate through life in connection in relationship with others, even if those others are different from you, believe differently, or whatever else. There's still that recognition of coexistence, and being able to navigate and be situated within life in coexistence with others. And I actually find in my conversations with a lot of mixed people and a lot of people in general, that kind of intrinsic lesson that our parents teach us about engaging with others. So I appreciate you sharing that, and um, that's fantastic. Um, so I'm going to go to the third question. The third question is, what challenges do you experience as a youth, growing up in life, and you get your parents provide you with these lessons, but parents can't cover everything. Sometimes you have to learn things on your own, and sometimes it can be difficult. There be challenges and whatnot. What are some of the challenges that you experience as a youth, going through childhood or adolescence, or as you get into adulthood? What are some of those early challenges that you experience?
man.
I know it's tough. It's a big. It's a tough morning today.
Right.
Getting deep.
Right. I don't remember learning language. You know, this is a reflection now. I do not remember when the words started making sense.
Okay.
So, you know, I can have memories, but again, even this is translation. Someone said, "Well, you were around this age," so you know, like I remember as far as 3. Those were some of the memories. Um, five are memories that really start to make sense. And so then if I could describe to you what I was feeling and seeing today, then likely I could probably verbalize some things then too. Um, Although I probably didn't have a wide range of words to describe some of the feelings that I had,
Mm.
you know, so these emotions. So if somebody would do me wrong, you know what I'm saying? I'd be like, that was wrong. And there would be an interior voice that would tell me that.
Yeah.
And I would recognize that if I told someone else, I'd say, well, this was wrong. You know, I'm like referring to the situation. And I was telling somebody about that. This thing that I remember was a Halloween. I dressed up, if I recall, as a ghost. So these were choices that I was making.
Okay.
And then we went up to a house and we knocked on the door, and the dude came out and he was real angry. Like his whole energy was angry. His mouth was angry. His tone was angry. And he basically said to myself, and I don't remember how many children, maybe 2 other children, It's like, get out of here kind of thing. You know, we don't have any candy for you. And my reaction, my response actually was very, I'm like, okay. Like, I literally turned around. I remember the feeling. I said, okay, you know.
Yeah.
What would I say to him? Like, don't be mean to children. Like, I'm looking up at you. So,
Right.
you know, like, don't be mean to children. No, I'm just going to turn my energy around. If that's how you feel, I'm going to start walking.
Sure.
Being resolved with it. And then I remember my mother's voice. She said, Shane, he was kidding. And so I turned back around. You know, like, so this dude is playing sarcasm on a 6-year-old or 7-year-old.
Yeah.
So I literally just opened my bag like it was the same energy. You could put your candy in there, but I definitely remember reclosing it and thinking to myself, I really didn't need what he had to offer. I really did not. You know, one way or another, the joke that I didn't understand, the candy that, you know, who knows what it was afterward. And then we just kept moving, but that instinct of the response, like, it became a memory inside of me. Therefore,
Sure.
you know, I can review and say, you know, if I would have turned and my mother did not, or let's say he wasn't joking, like, my memory would be different of the experience. So I said, essentially, you know, it was a pure forgiveness. It was like, one way or another, you pissed about something, it's all good. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you're joking? You're forgiven as well. Like, give me the candy.
Cool.
Right. So I think forgiveness, you know, I think it pertains to everyone's, you know, experience. That becomes this common thread that, you know, holds us together as we kind of navigate our youth, because that's what it is. It's a bunch of understandings, you know.
Yeah. I think forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools that any human has. And I just watched this documentary that a friend shares with me on the Truth and Reconciliation process in Sierra Leone a few years ago after the Civil War. And just the power of forgiveness that the people show each other and healing those bonds and those relationships in the villages where people act as family amongst each other. And had previously committed these atrocities against each other, and then become reunited and living in the same villages again, and not talking with each other and not interacting like they used to. So this truth and reconciliation process comes in and starts talking about healing and forgiveness and apologies and accounting for what was done. But just that whole process is very transformational. It was inspiring to watch it. So, I mean, I think when you talk about that propensity for forgiveness, that's a powerful lesson to learn. It can be also extremely difficult to practice, but when we do have that courage and that inclination, it's an awesome power for ourselves and for others as well. So I appreciate you sharing that. So that leads us into the fourth question, which is, what solutions do you find as an adult after you experience these challenges growing up as a youth? What solutions do you find as an adult? And particularly, I'm interested in you, like, building off what you describe about finding that language, being without the language at first, to address situations and kind of articulate what's going on. How do you find that language to give yourself the tools to respond to those situations?
All while you were speaking to me, one word kept coming up: silence.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's a deafening art.
Sure.
Yeah. So you know, like, if I go silent, then you are asking questions, and so then if you ask questions and there's no response from my perspective, as you see response, then you have to go towards your own peace inside. And I mean, you can, and I'm speaking again. I'm speaking spiritually, but also I'm speaking from a physical perspective as well.
Sure.
You can, and I don't want this for anyone, but you can kill me, and I'm saying it like that. And that's a very dark word in the English vernacular. You can kill me, but what will wind up happening is that, like, it'll start to resonate. It'll start to vibrate, And you see that in today's society. Someone will take one for the team, so to speak. And then there'll be a resonance. And it can go silent for a little while, you don't know about it. But then it'll start to resonate, you speak louder from a different perspective. Yeah. So there are moments, I think, in my understanding where if I can go back and be like, I should have been quiet there. Easier to see it, in retrospect. So then as you use it as a profound tool to move forward, it's deafening, it's like, but then you start to hear on a different level. Truth as it relates to, yourself, and even as it relates to others, and you have to have that core relationship. Mm-hmm. And and I think that you have to know where you want to grow something. The Japanese do it like beautifully. They'll take a tree and they'll start to form like art around it, and it will make the tree like do certain things. But it's all a matter of patience,
Sure.
Which brings it back to a generation of love base, So it'll always spiral back to that space, to love space. Wow. But one of the tools is going to be silence.
You're dropping knowledge, Shane.
Okay.
and that first thing that you said, excuse me, silence. That's another powerful tool that humanity has. That's often overlooked and undervalued. So that's a treasure right there. That leads us to our fifth and concluding question, which is, what message do you have to share with the universe? Given all your experience, your lessons, and your path in life, what lessons or what message do you have to share with the universe?
It's going to resolve with a question. I am who? That's it. I am who? That's what I have to share. And that's, you're talking about to a universe.
Right.
So I just resonated it. And so now the answers will start to come, to everyone too, because I am is a statement of purpose, but it also is a question. So now,
right.
WHO, which, it's going to be different in each language.
Right.
And it seems to be like a very internal response thing. So, I am who? That's my resonance to the universe. And I'm waiting.
All right. And you share that on Facebook all day.
Uh-huh.
With those posts on Facebook.
Yeah. And you see what happens, you see it.
People build from that.
They do. They build each other up. We build each other up through those.
Yeah. Cool, man. So that's a wrap. I mean, that's the thing. So thanks so much. That was a lot of food for thought, a lot of food for meditation and contemplation and growth. You share some jewels in there, so I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to hearing people's responses to your responses. So is there anything else that you'd like to share or include?
Oh, man, just keep up the good work, man. I see what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, just keep up the good work, man.
Cool. Yeah. Likewise, man. Likewise.
Yes.
And which reminds me, how is Tay doing? Because I know he's gotten some static over the past few weeks with some of the proclamations that he makes, and he's gotten support from the mixed community. on a lot of the mixed threads that I've seen. But I know that he's getting some static. So how is he doing with the bold and courageous statements that he's making?
I mean, how? That's a good one. I never, my cousin, his name is Olu, actually, from the book Olu's Dream, the idea. One time I asked him, how he was, and he was like, I'm good, but no one really ever knows how anybody's doing. So, from my perspective as a brother, he's doing awesome, man. He's doing incredible, which I'm so happy about.
Yeah.
And, we spent some time together this past week in the land of Hollywood, which is good, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right. And, I spent some time with my nephew. I look at him that way, Walker, and Walker is just an incredible youngster, incredible child.
Yeah.
Just teaching us over the course of the last 2-3 days. And I had gone onto the radio and we talked about it. The controversy is before us. It's not about us.
Yeah.
And so we take it in stride. And I say we because, it was like unwarranted responses, except the fact that it was completely warranted. Like, you speak your mind, that's fine. We're okay with that. I think when you open yourself as a creative person, you open yourself to the criticism. So we're at that place in our lives where I don't take it personally.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing awesome.
There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of history of pain in this experience, and there's a lot of room for reconciliation and resolution. And I think we're progressing towards a point in history and human experience where we can better talk about these issues. I think there's some things are still the same, some things change. But I think there's an increased amount of room to have that conversation. Some are ready for it, some are less ready for it. So we give each other support in progressing through it, and we continue to build each other up as we get through it. So keep on going.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, man. So it's nice talking with you. Nice chopping it up. And stay warm, stay cool in KC, and let's keep in contact and keep on moving.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Yes.
All right, man. Love and peace to you.
Be well, man. Same to you, man.
All right, you too.
All right, man.